It's Christmas! Well, it's not quite Christmas, is it? It's Christmas Eve, which this year falls on a Saturday. And not only that, it's 9 o'clock. Yes, it's time for the Monster Magic Saturday show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woohoo! Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody. I know there's still a couple of sleeps to go, but I'm sure all your prezzies are under the tree and the excitement is beginning to build. And this show's going to be slightly different. I'm actually going to be doing a top 25 chart countdown of my favorite tricks of the year, which you can choose to agree with or disagree with. Just put some comments below. Believe me, the order of those tricks has changed a lot. Every time I write the top 25, they shift around, sometimes by 10 places. It is incredibly hard, and I've left out some really dynamite tricks as well, because it's been one of those years where just lots and lots of great stuff has been released, especially even in the first few months. You know, almost one a week, where you'd be thinking, this could be trick of the year. This could be trick of the year. It's been brilliant, and it's been lovely. And obviously it's been Monster Magic's first ever year of trading. So thank you all very much for your support and keeping Monster going. But before we get into the chart, we've got a couple of new entries to run through. Yes, and first up, we have Fall 2.0, or just Fall 2. Let's not get into that 2.0 nonsense, by Ryan, Philip and Banachek, although apparently Banachek knew nothing about the new version of Fall. Fall came out probably about 10 years ago now. I think the first Fall came out, and the idea of it is that you have a Sharpie, a completely regular looking Sharpie, and you can balance it just about here in the middle and have everyone focus on the Sharpie, and eventually, with the power of their mind and telekinesis, the Sharpie will fall off the floor. It is a really, really powerful effect when you get it right. And what the difference between, so Fall, when it came out, the lid was glued to the pen and the pen didn't work. Well, I assume the pen didn't work. You couldn't get the lid off. So I'm guessing that whether he took the ink out, I don't know. But this one does actually write. And that is a brilliant, brilliant touch. That means this pen could be completely in play. You can do other mentalism routines, drawing, duplications, anything that requires the pen being used. Even if you want to do it with a signed card, you can use the Sharpie, and then you can go into the Fall. The setup for the Fall is literally seconds to get the pen in the right frame of mind for doing what it needs to do. And then you just need to balance the pen on the edge. And this is the tricky bit with this item. It's not within your control exactly, so there are no magnets, threads, remote control, electronics, nothing like that. It's purely done by the physical properties of the pen, and that opens it up to some sort of it's not 100% when it will fall. This pen I've been playing with, and I know exactly where to balance it, basically using the writing. Ryan Philip does go through quite a lot of this on the tutorial, but every pen's going to be slightly different, I'm guessing. Exactly where the pen should be balanced on the edge of a table or edge of anything. You want it to be quite a sharp edge. And I'd love to show you, but on the boat it's moving, and also the boat's not flat anyway, so it's very tricky. I was trying to do it on there's no real surface where the pen doesn't want to fall off regardless. So where you balance the pen is the tricky bit. With this pen, it's just about the E in permanent, and that gives it a nice balance. And yeah, and then you just have to get everyone to focus on the pen. This pen falls at around between 50 seconds and 70 seconds on the whole. Occasionally, I don't know why, it's thrown me a curveball and done 2 minutes. I don't think that's a big deal. It does fall eventually, and Ryan touches on it as well. The longer it goes on, the more impossible it seems it's going to happen. And as long as you can keep your audience focused on it and convince them to keep concentrating on the pen, to keep the idea of the pen getting heavy, whatever your lines are going to be, it will work, and it'll be more powerful. If it happens too quickly, then it just looks like it's just fallen off. Because of these characteristics, you really do need to sort of get to know your full 2.0 pen really well. You can move. Sometimes it wants to roll. It seems when I first got this pen, I don't know, it was just where I had the lid. It seemed to want to rest this way on the clip, rather than lie flat, which I would prefer. So I had to sort of move the lid around to try and make it sit properly. Sometimes before it falls, what's really quite nice is that it will give a little rolly motion. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it does make you sort of feel like, oh, hang on, something's happening. And because that motion is perpendicular to the tipping motion, it really does feel like the pen's moving. I do like it, and it really isn't one of those tricks for me. I can't do the serious mentalism, telekinesis stuff, mainly because I've just been joking around for the last 10 minutes or whatever. To suddenly get people to try and do something serious often just doesn't work for me. But if you are a walk around mentalist, then I don't see why you shouldn't just carry full and give it a go and have a lot of fun getting people concentrating on this pen. You can change the ink, so if the ink runs out, you can change it. Ryan says you do so at your own risk, but it doesn't look that complicated to me. It's just a little bit fiddly, and obviously you're dealing with Sharpie ink, so I suggest wearing a pair of gloves while you're doing it, because you'll get it all over your hands. You always do. If you're prepared and you're good enough to get people to stare at a pen balanced on a glass or the edge of a table for up to 2 minutes, then full is a dynamite effect. It will freak people out. There are obviously tricks out there now, like Magnet O by Henry Harris, that does this within your control, but that can't be inspected. So this pen can be used, can be handed out. We all carry a Sharpie around anyway. Why not carry this one? And then if the occasion arises, it's even possible it might arise for me, you can just do it. It's set up, doesn't really take anything. It's really neat. It is really neat. It's a neat everyday carry, surely. That is full 2.0 by Ryan Phillip and Banachek. It's $23.99. And now it's time for the first ever Monster Magic chart rundown. At 25, we have the first entry from Craig Petty with Cube 52. At 24, a surprise entry, Lucky Ladybug by Juice Gala. At 23, it's 52 Stunner by Juan Capilla. At 22, Julio Montoro with Slow Vanish. And at 21, it's Lucky Lotto again by Craig Petty. And now another new entry. It is Vitrine by Alexis Touchard. The only time I've known anything else by Alexis Touchard was something called Cheeky Lips, which was absolutely dire. It was a shocker of a trick. So I didn't hold up too many high hopes for this. The effect is a card to key fob. You've got a key fob with a folded card inside, and you have a card selected, a card signed, a card lost in the deck. You then take the key fob back, you unscrew all of the 4 bolts, you tip out the card that's been inside the entire time, and yes, they can unfold it, and it is their signed selection. It's a plot that has been done before. David Penn had fob. I'm sure there's probably been others. Fob was really neat, I thought, but it kind of got scratched and it got beaten up. This is a much more solid thing. Let me show you what you get. You get some spares. and especially some spare screws, because that is one of the things that is a bit of an issue with this. And you get the fob. It is very, very heavy. This is the sort of thing that I would literally hate to have on my key fob. It is just it's big, it's bulky, it weighs a ton, and it's got sharp edges. This is going to put a hole in your pocket before you know it. So if you're out performing, and especially, you know, we like to wear sharp suits, don't we, and belts with big buckles and glitty, glammy watches, don't we? All of that bling, and you're going to produce this, and this is going to put a hole in your pocket very, very quickly. It is too heavy. It's very solid, obviously, so this is steel, which is, I mean, great for durability and everything else, but no, not great at all. And then you have another issue, which is you've got these little screws. So you've got the card in here, and that's great, and to get it out, you have to unscrew each of these, which takes a bit of time. But that's one thing, and taking a bit of time is obviously fine. It kind of builds up the drama, it builds up how hard it is that you couldn't possibly have squeezed a card in there. But then you've got 3 sets of these little nuts and bolts that you've got to put somewhere or look after. Hopefully put them straight in your pocket, because they're going to go missing, which is why you've got some spares. But how annoying, they're just too small. If you drop one of these, you know, it's going to bounce and roll around, and you don't want to be crawling under the bride's table. And then the setup, obviously you've got to screw them all back on again, which takes a little bit of time. The actual reset is a little bit fiddly, but it's not too bad. Yeah, I just think this case should unscrew, and then you wouldn't have anything to lose. You'd just have 2 halves. That would make a lot more sense to me. And also it's just too heavy, too bulky, too many sharp edges. It should be nice, curved. Other than that, it works pretty much as you'd expect. You get the spares. Alexis runs through quite a lot on the routine itself. So obviously you have a card selected and signed, and that's all fine. It is a completely free choice, the selection. And then he teaches some simple card controls, a double undercut, and he teaches the Mercury card fold, which is, again, something that's quite hard to get accurate. If you are going to be doing this trick, with any trick, if you're doing the Mercury card fold a lot, I do recommend getting Perfect Score by John Allen. You can get it from John Allen himself, or you can get it from Monster if you really must. Please. He also teaches the shuttle pass, which you're going to need for when you tip it out in a traditional sort of Kennedy box style. So the teaching's great. He also runs through the repair of the gimmick, which is good. It's not that difficult, a bit fiddly as all of these things are. And he also sort of has some advice on sort of wearing the gimmick in, especially if you've just redone it, to make sure that it works absolutely fine and everything's stretched and as it should be. So the tutorial's great. I mean, Alexis, you know, obviously has performed this, and it does work. I just hate this key fob. This is not something I want in my pocket. It would just irritate the living daylights out of me. It's $42.99, and you can see why. This probably isn't cheap to make. It's obviously bespoke, and the gimmick's probably handmade. It's just not worth it. And that is Vitrine by Alex Touchard. And now we're into the top 20. At 20, we have a non-mover with Thomas Bader and Drop. At 19, up to, it's Eric Casey with POW. At 18, it's Heartbeat by Juan Colas. At 17, a surprise entry, it's Personal by Juice Gala. And at 16, it's Candyman by Thomas Dostal. And now, a new entry with Ultimate, Out of This World, it's JT. This is Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. You shuffle half a deck of cards and you put down 2 marker cards, a red one and a black one, and you ask your spectator whether they think the cards are red or black, and you deal them accordingly into those piles. You then turn over those piles and surprise, surprise, they have correctly separated the red cards from the black cards. It is super, super clean. I'll tell you what the best bit about this is how it's been packaged, because you've got half a deck of cards in here, but it's that thin, and from a magic shop point of view, that is terrific because of the postage. It also helps you guys because of the postage, and they've done that by having the deck into 2 piles. I can't show you the other side because the cards are gaffed, and they're specially printed unique gaffs that enable this trick to be super, super clean, very, very easy. And it does look nice. The turnover, the displays, there's no discrepancies. They get a completely free choice. You can actually put all of the cards on one side and all of the cards, you know, if you wanted to. It's foolproof, pretty much. It's quite good, quite clever thinking. We all know that the Out of the World plot by Paul Curry was the one who, I mean, separating the reds and the black cards wasn't a new thing by Paul, but his Out of This World was published in 1946, and it's been a favourite of magicians and hobbyists ever since then. And the thing about it is a really, really easy trick to do that is really, really powerful, and you end completely clean. It just uses an ordinary deck of cards, and anyone can do it, and anyone would be amazed. And you have your participant dealing the cards. Your participant can deal these cards if they drop one or anything else like that, and it turns over, you're in trouble. It's just not necessary to gimmick to this extent a self-working card trick. There's one discrepancy in Out of This World, and I don't think anyone's ever been caught out by it. It flies by. It's just not, there's no point in gimmicking Out of This World. It's a clean, brilliant, brilliant trick. Put a new spin on it, put a new presentation on it. Do it with something other than cards if you want. You know, there are so many versions of Out of This World with genetics and predictable and all of those things that just sort of change the effect slightly or build a better connection with your participant, and that makes sense. This doesn't make any sense to me. If you really struggle with Out of This World, then fine, but as far as I'm concerned, Paul Curry's Out of This World is pretty close to the ultimate Out of This World. JT teaches it really well. It's a very straightforward effect, but especially if you're performing for friends and family, if they look at those cards, you're doomed, and it's just not worth it. JT, it's nice thinking. It's $30.99. It's ultimate Out of This World. And the next new entry is Memoraid by Chris Rawlins. This is based on Chris's 2015 trick called Pseudo, and it is designed to look exactly like a memory game or training aid. And in fact, it genuinely is. You can play this. It is quite good fun to play. It's quite good fun to test your memory with. You know, from 1 player to 6 players, you could have a lot of fun just with this as a game. Honestly, it is really good. The memory effects are vast, and you get 3 strong routines, each multiple phases, and basically you can remember the order of the cards, you can remember which card a participant has turned over, you can separate the cards into 2 categories, whether they're coloured cards or black and white cards, or down into 4 different categories. You can also claim to have remembered every card that's been in place since, so you remember 1 card that's been isolated in the box beforehand. The cards are just so versatile that it's very hard to explain everything that you can do, and they are designed brilliantly. to let you do so much. They sort of differentiate themselves into 4 different categories, which is genius. Whether they're coloured, whether they're black and white, what other characteristics of the object that's drawn, or even linguistically that they are separated as well. Chris is a memory worker. He does have a memory act, and he knows how to sell memory. He also knows, if you think about it, how powerful memory tricks are and feats of memory. But if you think of those great party games that we used to play, I went to the shops and I bought an apple, and then the other person has to add to the shopping list. We all have a lot of fun testing our memory, and to watch a strong memory, a really good feats of memory, is genuinely entertaining. In fact, if you do anything well, it's entertaining in my book. And this allows you to cheat. Chris does suggest doing a little bit of the memory work. If you can remember just a few of the cards, that makes things a little bit more powerful. It'll also help with your acting when you're doing it, and you're cheating as well. So you get a couple of how to play cards. So you get the ultimate memory test, and you give this to your participant. He reads through here and you perform it, and it gets significantly harder and harder and more impressive. Like I say, you are selling this as a genuine feat of memory. And you also get another how to play card as well. So you've got the 2 games in here, and they will blow your participant away. They are strong memory acts. And like I say, multiple phases, so they build and get harder and harder. The cards are designed, now the backs are very bold, so you can see them easily, but hidden so they're not really noticeable, if that makes sense. And you will want to familiar yourself with the pictures on the cards as well, because these are reader style, so they're not hinting at what it is. You do actually see what the object is, but some of them, like there was planets, and that's a boat, isn't it? And yeah, so you want to recognize that. So you just know what the pictures are, and that will really help. And just get to know your cards as you should, and practice it. But they are beautifully printed. They handle really well. They're durable, good cardstock, nice, clear images, and also obviously having the words written underneath means that you've definitely got it right. No one can actually say, well, that looks more like a kumquat than an orange. You know what I mean? Chris's teaching of these memory routines is a masterclass. The only thing I will say about the tutorial is Chris claims it's an hour, and it's not. It's an hour, 20 minutes, Chris. I'm sorry. And he covers everything, all of the subtleties, how to make a memory feat powerful, and also how to get away with the secret. And that is really, really important, because you are selling this as a genuine feat of memory. You need people to believe that that is what you're doing for those first 3 routines to be strong. They build, they're great. The teaching is superb, and you'll get all of the subtleties. Just watch the way Chris performs it as well, and you'll be able to perform this and get terrific reactions. And then you've got the second half of the tutorial, which is the mind reading section, and that uses sort of basic card sleights and the secret to perform mind reading. And that's brilliant for close up, for strolling. If you've got from 1 to 6 spectators, they can choose a card, hide a card, whatever. And Chris runs through all of those routines really, really well. And watching the way Chris performs his mind reading is, again, inspirational. It's a masterclass in how to sell that you are actually reading someone's mind. The way that these cards are categorized means that you can start revealing bits about the card even before you know 100% what the card is, and that really, really adds to the power of the mind reading effects as well. It's just an incredibly versatile, well thought out pack of cards / game. I did movie quiz last week, and I said that Craig did some things at the end of on his tutorial, which was, basically how to do some mind reading effects with movie quiz. And that wasn't what movie quiz was designed for. Movie quiz was designed for that big finale with the big denouement of the poster. And you don't get the big poster, big revelation with Memoraid, but what you do get is a deck of cards that is designed for those mind reading effects, and that means you can do some things that are far more powerful, far better, far easier, as well as having all of those brilliant memory routines as well. I think it's one of the smartest decks of cards. It is so thought out, it is so thorough, to allow you to do so much easily and simply. It's very, very clever, but it's kind of simple. It's a fun game to play. It's 3 brilliant memory feats built in, plus you've got mind reading if you wanted to walk around with it as well. It is genius. It is £40. It is Memoraid by Chris Rawlins. And now let's do the countdown to 10. At 15, it's Gerd Clark with Any Card to Pocket. 14, Mobius Rising Card by TCC. At 13, Chris Congreve with Cloak. At 12, a non-mover, Roddy McGee with Predictions. And at 11, down 1, it's 2020 Visions by Matthew Wright. And now it's Blood Blast from the Past. It's Self-Tying Shoelace by J. Noblezada. I think I said that correctly. This has been out a long time. It gets overlooked. It's been repackaged by Penguin, and it is still as good an effect as it ever was. The effect is quite simple. Your shoelace is undone, someone notices it, you give your foot a little bit of a shake, and your shoelace ties itself. The method is really, really simple. The setup is not difficult at all. You sort of feel that this trick would require more mechanics than it really, really does. It is easy to set up. It doesn't require any clothing alterations or anything like that. It is very, very reliable. You do get you get a nice little booklet as well. You get in here, you get the gimmick, and you also get a shoelace. You don't need to use that shoelace. You can match the shoelace to your shoes, and obviously you do want to be using a matching shoelace. Just saying. Jay runs through the setup of it really, really easily, and you can switch it from one pair of trousers to another pair of trousers as you like, but the gimmick is actually attached to your clothing. And it can sit there though. You don't even have to be set up for it, and you can have it sitting in your clothing quite happily, and if you ever want to do the trick, you can quickly get into it if you like. Jay teaches it really, really well. There's not a lot to it really, apart from timing of when you make the magic happen and how you shake your foot, both of which Jay covers. You can get it a bit wrong. It's not, but you do have to sort of learn to balance on one leg for a little bit. That's really nice that he goes through the subtleties of it to make sure that the effect is as clear and as powerful, and people are focusing on it whilst you're doing it. He suggests that you don't point it out that your shoelace is undone first. You wait for someone to notice, which is a lot of fun, and he gives a couple of tips. If you compliment someone on how they're looking, they'll probably look down at you and they might notice your shoelace. There are lots of tips on how to sort of encourage people to point out that your shoelace is untied, which is nice. For me, this is just like a great everyday carry. You can set it up impromptu on the fly, just wait for someone to notice, and then you've got this amazing piece of magic that only a magician would do, as if you've been caught out. It's not like you've prepared it. You just do the foot shake. And that's what makes it so good. It's a really, really surprising thing to do for people. For me, it's a great everyday carry. Have it in your trousers. You can set it up impromptu. You can just wait for someone to notice, and then you can blow them away with a very surprising piece of magic. Everyone understands the faff of tying your shoelaces, so they can really appreciate what you're doing. Great. It's absolutely amazingly good, and it's a brilliant piece of magic, and it is an absolute steal at $15.99. It is Self-Tying Shoelace by J. Noblezada. And that's it till Christmas. Yes, I hope you've got everything arranged. I hope you're prepared, and I hope you're really, really looking forward to the big day. I have got myself a couple of presents. I got these actually in for the shop. They are 2 books by the great Glenn Gravatt, and I was going to put them on the website, but I just fell in love with them. This one came without any cellophane on. I had a quick read and I thought, I'm having that. Yes. So there you go. I am all set for Christmas Day. I hope you are too. And I hope you get to unwrap some magic, and I hope you get to enjoy the best hobby in the world. Bye bye.